What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, and I'm back with another episode of the Dangerous Minds. And okay, two things before I get into today's discussion. One, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to my last episode. As of this moment, it's a little over 2,400 views, so I really appreciate everybody tuning in. It was my first episode after a couple months, so I really appreciate the love. Thank y'all. And then another thing, there were a lot of people once I announced that I wasn't going to do the episode I had entitled Don't Get Hurt Bae. Kind of like my discussion piece based off of that video that was posted by thescene.com. Yeah, I just didn't want to do a half-ass podcast, just to be completely honest. Once I got into, planning out the show, thinking about what I wanted to talk about and all the points I wanted to hit, it just kind of didn't care after a while. And if my heart wasn't in it, it wasn't going to be a very good show. But now that we're on the discussion of things that I do like and that I do care about, one of the things that I am mostly in love with when it comes to hip hop is the competitive nature. It's not just kind of like a realm where everybody is kind of nice to each other all the time. Like, I really love unity in hip hop, but I do like that hip hop is competitive. People are constantly trying to prove that they are the best, whether it's with record sales, whether it's with dope lyrics, whether it's creative storytelling. Everybody's always competitive and always trying to prove that they are the number one rapper in the game right now, and sometimes even ever. And one of the things that a lot of rappers like to do is compete head to head in on records, and it's an art form that has been lost. I personally love like diss tracks and beef and all the other stuff, as long as it doesn't turn into violence, as long as it doesn't leave the booth, as long as it stays on wax. I'm okay with beef. I love beef. I love to see, love to hear more like, I love to hear rappers go head to head like that. You see who can clown the other one and bring valid points into a creative and dope song. And it's an art form that's been lost mainly because it kind of devolved into what I was talking about. What I don't like is that it turns into, I'ma kill you. There's a lot of threats. There's nothing creative about it. It's just saying, I'm gonna shoot you in the face when I see you if you say something about me again. And then, it gets worse because then actually they start going off the record and see each other in person, and then guns, and then people getting killed. It's pretty whack when that happens. But, we starting to see it come back a little bit more. Recently with Drake and Meek Mill is like the biggest example. And even on episode 6 of my podcast, I talked about Drake versus Joe Budden, which in that battle, I believe that lyrically and, competitively, when it comes to just the songs, I feel like when you do diss records, that's the only thing that matters is the songs, the lyrics. Who can out-rap who? So record sales and all that other stuff that, is not really determined by, how good of a rapper you are, is how well can you chart on Billboard or whatever. I don't think that should be counted in seeing who won. So I believe in a lyrical battle, that who had the better records, which I think Drake only had one, and it was only a verse he did with French Montana, when Joe did 3, and especially I can't remember what it was called, but it was one of the tracks that were like the second one. It was kind of like a back-to-back type of song, and he flipped, Drake's concept and killed him. But up until yesterday, I really didn't have a topic of what I really wanted to talk about. I was just going to kind of pull something out of thin air. But this episode was brought to you by, kind of like that Drake versus Joe Budden episode. It's kind of like the day before, hot off the presses, just out of the blue, Remy Ma drops a savage diss record to Nicki Minaj. Now, it had been rumored for a while. Nicki's appeared on a couple songs. over the past week with Gucci Mane and Jason Derulo, where it sounds like she may be throwing sly shots at Remy Ma, and kind of taking some of the stuff that she said in certain songs where people thought that she's been talking about Nicki, and kind of flipping those lyrics. At one point she said that you can't be like in the Gucci Mane song Make Love, she said that you can't be the queen of rap if you don't sell records and you don't get plaques. And Remy pretty much took that and just ran with it. She put out a dope savage diss track called shEither. Now, when I like in the beginning of the song, like somebody showed me a picture of this and I thought it was like really crazy. So Nicki is wearing a diamond, like it has pink diamonds on it. It's like it must be an early picture from like her mixtape days, or like when she was first getting on the scene, really. And she has a diamond necklace, but it's in the shape of a chicken wing. And I was like, Remy Ma makes reference to that at the very beginning, and I was just like, it's over. And then she just, talks about, the situation with her brother, dealing with the pedophilia stuff. She talks about how she's a bad example for young black girls because, they're trying to get these ass shots and some of them are dying from botched jobs because they want to look like her. It's everything that she's talking about. She clowned her because she, getting on the record with Gucci Mane and taking pictures with him, even though, he went on that crazy Twitter rant where he was calling out a lot of people, and Nicki was one of them. And, the fact that, I don't know, maybe they mend fences behind the scenes, but, because of that public, display and like disrespect. And then now she's like doing records with him and taking pictures with him. Just like how she clowned her about her doing the, taking pictures with Drake, even after like she just got a relationship with Meek. And she was raising some valid points. That's one of the great things about any like diss record, is when you can use stuff that is, factual. Like you can use stuff that when you say it, it has some legs to it. It has some merit to it. And I know, that's one of the great things about Jay-Z's diss record to Nas. It was like he was taking stuff, like 4 albums in 10 years, nigga, I can divide. And like he just ran down his catalog and how he's had some great highs with Illmatic, but then he had some, I guess you could say, duds with I Am and Nostradamus. And I thought it was pretty. Those songs are the ones that are like the ones that stick out, because you're hitting them with stuff that is undeniable. Everybody knows this stuff. So for her to like take a diss record, where she does throw in some stuff, speculation of her sleeping with this person, doing favors for records and stuff like that. And it's stuff like that is gonna get thrown around. And she also talks about beating her up, or catching her, or like don't try her because she really about it. Stuff like that. You're gonna hear in a diss record, especially when you're dealing with two female MCs that grew up in like street culture and like do like infuse that in their lyrics and stuff like that. You're gonna hear that. But everything else, when she was hitting her like with all the stuff, she was flipping some of the Drake lines and like talking about you were killed by a loving hip hop chick. I thought it was pretty funny. And it's very reminiscent to the Drake and Joe Budden situation, because the conversation that's being had is, there's half the people that hear the song and they're like, Remy Ma murdered Nicki. It's probably the end of it. And then there's some people that's like, Nicki sells more records and Nicki's more famous and all this other stuff. And like I said, I don't think that should be a factor when it comes to, trying to decide who won the beef. Like, if you got out-rapped, you got out-rapped. It doesn't matter if you sold 1 million more records than this person, or you have more #1 hits than this person during this whole situation. Like, if you got out-rapped, you got out-rapped, and that's the end of it. But a lot of people kind of like on both sides, and that's what I said about the Drake and Joe Budden thing. I don't think that you should measure who won based off of record sales. And when it came down to it, Joe killed Drake. But in this situation, it's a little different because Nicki has been on a lot of beefs, other female MCs, with other women in entertainment in general. Like one of the things Remy Ma talked about in the diss record was how she got into these things with Mariah Carey and Taylor Swift and Miley Cyrus. And, at first glance, we support Nicki, but then it's like, she's kind of going after people that, can't really go back at her like an MC can. And then she's been in like these beefs with Lil' Kim, who arguably was past her prime at that point and was pretty much not really doing too much before this whole beef started. And she kind of was putting out more records that she had done in years during that stunt, that stint that she was beefing with Nicki Minaj, where Remy Ma is on a different platform. She's an MC, in my opinion, a far better MC than anything that I've heard Nicki Minaj done. She went to jail at the peak of her popularity, so she was still on top of the game, by the time she had gotten locked up. So, there's no telling where she would be right now if she hadn't been locked up for those years, and where her career could have been, and how that would have been, how that would have affected Nicki Minaj's career, or it might not have affected her at all. Who knows? But she comes out of jail and she has 2 Grammy nominations. She has hit records with Money Showers and All the Way Up. And, she's in the conversation now. Nicki Minaj has been unrivaled in hip hop when it comes to female MCs for a long time. Young Ma, I guess you could say, is the closest, but because she's like a masculine lesbian, a lot of people don't compare Nicki and Young Ma because, I don't know, it's like a lot of people don't see Young Ma as a female MC because of her sexuality. I mean, it's just how people think. I don't know. So, and then she only has like maybe 1 record at the time of this recording. I don't know if she put out something, later down the line. But right now, as I record this, she only has 1 record. And, so to really, like Remy Ma was big in 04, 05, and Nicki Minaj has been running it since she's been in jail. So now you have 2 people that could pop. And then, Remy Ma has Love and Hip Hop, and Love and Hip Hop is helping her rejuvenate her career because it's actually showing her in a positive light, unlike a lot of other people. So it doesn't hurt her that she's on that show. Like in the Drake beef with Joe Budden, that was one of the things that was, heavily talked about, how, Joe Budden was made to look like a fool on Love and Hip Hop. Well, you really can't say the same thing about Remy Ma in this situation, because she's actually, being rejuvenated by her Love and Hip Hop appearances. So this could be the end of Nicki Minaj. Who knows? It would only see if she can come back. But with the ghostwriting allegations, I feel like her relationship with Meek Mill, especially during, the Drake beef, really hurt her by association. She's been relatively quiet, especially in this past year, where it seems like Remy Ma has been kind of holding it down for female MCs, while Nicki has been kind of like piecing stuff back together. And so right now, Nicki's at a point where she's not on like this big pedestal, and she's, like Remy Ma is like this, she's doing good, but she's not on the same level. At this point, when you really look at how their careers are looking at right now, they're on the same level. Remy Ma is getting accolades, and she's getting props and stuff for, ever since she's been coming back, versus Nicki, who's been kind of on the decline lately. Other than these 2 features that I mentioned before, Nicki Minaj has been pretty much a non-factor in the music, especially in the last 2 years. When she dated Meek Mill, you really didn't hear too many records coming from her, not even really features. And, last year, you really didn't hear her at all. So this could be interesting. I wanted to talk about this because I just wanted to see what people think. Like, who do you think is going to be the one that's going to come out on top on this? From a lyrical standpoint, I see it as kind of a make or break for Nicki, but as a lyricist, I don't really think that she's gonna be hurt in the long run, because she still has the pop. She's still like an icon to a lot of people in more ways than just music. So I don't think it's gonna hurt Nicki in the long run, and I don't see Remy Ma coming out of this any weaker, especially after this shEither record. Like, unless Nicki can come at her on a takeover type of tip, I don't think Nicki is really gonna be able to touch that record. But I want to see what y'all think. Do you think it's the end of Nicki Minaj, or do you think that this is just kind of like a bump in the road and the mark of her comeback? I will say this: she has been taking pictures with all of her old collaborators, like Wayne, Drake, Gucci, and all these other people. She's rumored to be working on new music and ready to drop an album sometime this year. She's trying to build herself back up now that she's split from Meek Mill. But I think that this record could be make or break for her when it comes to how she fits in hip hop, because conversations about her being the best might be in jeopardy depending on how this thing plays out. Well, that's my time. I really appreciate anybody that checked this out. Let's try to beat the last episode's numbers. Let's try to go to 3,000. Who knows? If you like the video, please like it on YouTube, share, and subscribe to the channel for more content. And I'll see you for the next episode. All right, y'all take care.